And that's where it we were like, no, we can't. But enough times people say, hey, can you do it? Can you do it?
In this video, I speak to Kimberly and Azlan of Otomate Me.
We had developed an algorithm for our own e-commerce site.
When I first met them, I knew they had two products. Automailer, which was an email automation platform, and Otomate, which is automations for WhatsApp broadcasting.
On one hand, it's like, okay, how do we make sure we price ourselves to make money, but at the same time not lose the customer, because you don't want to be like greedy.
What I like about Otomate Me is that they build a business that is profitable, and yet they are very intentional about how they're building the business, and they're choosing to go lean.
In that moment, both of us, we looked at each other, we were like, should we do this or not?
In this interview, you're also going to learn how they validated their first product, found their first customer, and the marketing strategies that they're using to grow Otomate Me. So stay on, dive in, and I think you're going to love this interview. Kimberly and Azlan sort of built the first version of GrabFood/GrabMart. Well, back then, there weren't any popular services doing food delivery or even mart delivery.
It was 2016 and both of us had this idea that we would want to start a business together. The question was, what business? And I believe at that time, the Dollar Shave Club model was taking the world by storm. So we were thinking, okay, that sounds like an interesting model. Let's see if we can build something that's similarly around that and also around automation. I had spoken to a couple of other people who were in the startup industry whom I had met prior in the previous job that I was in. They were really encouraging. They said, if you don't see someone doing this and you believe in it, you should give it a try. And so we did. We created a survey. Azlan and I, we decided to go to a shopping mall and just talk to people, asking them like, hey, this is an idea that we have. It's surrounding auto-replenishment and it's just in time. Would this be useful to you? After sort of pushing this survey out to different people that we had already connected with, we then contacted them. And that's actually also how we got our first customer. The entire idea for us at the time for Otomate Me 1.0 was that we wanted to be able to replenish frequently used products. In industry terms, it would be called FMCG products, fast-moving consumer goods. So this one girl, she was a student. I think when we reached out to her, she was like, okay, I need toothpaste replenished. And we went to probably like a Mydin or a Giant because, you want to get the price arbitrage, the difference, right, between what you sell and what you buy it for. We just drove and went to deliver it to her. On our way to deliver it to her, she actually texted us and was like, oh, could you buy me a Starbucks on the way? In that moment, both of us, we looked at each other, we were like, should we do this or not? At that point, a really terrifying decision to say no to her. I mean, come on, it's your first customer, you want to make them happy. And we said, no, sorry, that's not what we do, but we will get the toothpaste over to you. We declined the Starbucks request. We came with the toothpaste, she paid us, and we were elated. Like, oh my God, first customer.
And after validation, after finding a solution to a problem, they started a business together.
I started when I was 22, Azlan started when he was 24. And frankly speaking, at that point, if you know that you have a home to stay in and you could come back and eat food, you wouldn't be out on your ass. And you don't have very high commitments. It's a risk you can take. I was somebody who really cared about perfectionism also at that point, coming from a sports background. So we incorporated the company and then 2 days later, that's when, the first sale came in.
The best products in the market are usually solutions for the problems or pain that a founder experiences themselves. And that's no different for Otomate Me because they were solving a problem that they face running an e-commerce site.
We had developed an algorithm, and this algorithm was based on historical data and data that we had been able to, source online. So we built this algorithm for our own e-commerce site. At the time, the businesses that we were looking to work with, they're these big MNCs. We're talking to these people for 8 to 9 months and nothing comes of it. But at the same time, I think businesses weren't yet familiar with going direct to customers in this way. These bigger guys were more focused on maybe just selling to their distributors or selling to their wholesalers rather than caring about selling directly to their end consumers and knowing who those people are.
Now, business is fundamentally simple, but not easy. Basically, you identify a problem in the market and build a solution for that. But when you go to market and sell it, you'll begin to find that your first assumption about your products are usually wrong. And that's when you have to pivot and kind of change it a little bit.
The core things that Azlan, my co-founder did was he was always learning and always experimenting. And I think the learning part is really crucial because at the very beginning, developers are so expensive. Azlan, being from a background of a robotic engineer, took it upon himself to learn software. He would learn from Udemy, he would learn from YouTube, he would self-learn and come up with ideas. That enabled us to experiment quite a lot. We had multiple different tools that we were trying as we were building the first version of Otomate Me 1.0.
There are opportunities everywhere. I first met Kimberly and Azlan at a co-working space called Common Ground. And that is also where they built their product called Otomate. By discovering Common Ground had a flawed onboarding process, that is opportunity.
When we first got our onboarding email, we realized that there were these errors. It's not addressed to me, it was addressed to a random other person, and it had information that was not really relevant to me, and it was a bit confusing. And so we just went up to them and we said, hey, we got this email. It's not addressed to me. I don't think this is the right one. How are you sending these emails? And we asked them and they told us, yeah, we're sending this manually. We come in every day. And whenever there's someone new to onboard, we will copy and paste this email and send it out. So we said, okay, we think we can automate this for you, save you time. It's not only more efficient, but also more accurate. That opened up the discussion for us to pitch it to the team. We had a pitching session in one of their rooms, their boardrooms. To their credit, they were willing to do a proof of concept with us, and it was a paid process. That's how we developed Automailer. Be okay, what other businesses or industries have a similar need? And so we started identifying company secretaries. So we went to our company secretary. We're you do a job for us. I think we can do a job for you. And they hopped on board. It came down to a lot of thinking and trying to understand what people's processes were. And that was also tough for us because what would we have known about their process? We would have to talk to them. Networking with people, talking to people, understanding, hey, what do you do? Is this useful for you? And then working to build up that sort of trust to see that, maybe they want to take a chance on us and slowly building up our credibility that way too.
Now, I find that following your curiosity and having this curiosity of exploring is really important in business and also marketing. But of course, you want to spend 80% of your time in doing the core stuff of your business, and then maybe 20% of your time exploring and trying something new.
Me as a developer, I had itchy fingers. So I was looking at different technologies online, different tools, and I was just experimenting. We decided to, hey, let's try out auto SMS as well, right? So where we're automating the communications, not just through email, but through SMS as well. And at that time, that's when RCS, which is the new SMS 2.0, was being launched. It was being heavily pushed by Google. So we built a tool called Auto SMS. And basically what Auto SMS did was that it would help you send out SMS campaigns directly from your phone. The benefit of that would be that you would be charged the SMS telco rate. So if you have an unlimited plan with Maxis where you can send unlimited SMS, then you could utilize those unlimited SMS to send out marketing campaigns. We got the first customer for this in Common Ground as well. As we had onboarded customers into Auto SMS, they were like, hey, but do you do this for WhatsApp as well? And that's where we were like, no, we can't, no, we can't, no, we can't. But enough times people say, hey, can you do it? Can you do it? We're like, maybe we can. Most of the code, not gonna lie, was duplicated. We changed some of the core infrastructure in the backend and we were like, hey, let's launch it and see how it goes. We launched an MVP. It worked out. It sort of became more exciting than Automailer at that point. So we shut down Auto SMS. For the most part, it's Ottawa. And it's been our primary focus for a few years after that, where we developed it further. We got feedback from customers about the features that they were looking for, some of the limitations it had, and then we just expanded from there.
So the beauty of a digital business, a SaaS business, a software business is that the world is your audience. Listen on to hear how Kimberly got a customer from miles and miles away.
So I remember one day, this was during COVID, I was in my room on my bed. We received this inquiry from Norway and I was so confused. And so we still explored it, of course. We reached out and we're like, hey, just want to check, is this really what you're looking for? And he was like, yeah, I'm looking for a way to communicate using WhatsApp. I export salmon from Norway to Malaysia. So he's actually a Malaysian dude and he just lives in Norway. He works in Norway. but he has this business that exports fish. So he's like, most of my clients are all in Malaysia. I reach out to them through WhatsApp. It's such a pain. I came across your solution and I was like, oh, let's chat. It was helping him do exactly what he needed, which is to personalize his messages to each of his customers, which was the way that he got his orders as well. He would just remind them. And he found that if he wasn't reminding them, that they wouldn't remember him or they wouldn't purchase. So this tool led him to actually be able to do this in a very efficient way, in a personalized way. It's really cool.
These days, we have the luxury of having multiple marketing channels, online, offline. Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok, and offline we have billboards, events, magazines, and all that sort. But which marketing channel works best for a business like Otomate Me? And of course, for a B2B business, why is it so important to build relationships?
We would go to conferences, talk to prospects, run ads online. It's also, I think, having a bit of patience, because there have been a number of people whom we spoke to, say, during COVID. They came back and they were like, yeah, we're ready now. Sometimes it's just a slightly longer process of talking to people and also partnering with people. So we would have channel partners that we spoke with. In terms of customers, the best channel that would still be word of mouth and referrals. And the fact is the referrals come from people who are our existing customers, or even people who aren't our customers but know what we do and know who we are. So referrals have been a really strong one for us and a very cost-effective one.
So I had a client who got their WhatsApp number blocked because they were spamming the customers with too many messages on WhatsApp. So I got Azlan's help and he solved the problem in just one day. He managed to get a number unblocked, and that was great. So here's why providing help beyond what you are selling is so important.
We don't just leave you hanging as a business. Something happens to your WhatsApp line. Occasionally, people try to push the envelope a little bit, right? And go outside of the guardrails that we might put up or that we might set. And the outcome of that is their number gets blocked. And so, we've also been able to help them get it back. And they're always grateful about that. And I think that demonstrates to people that, hey, we're not just one of those businesses that you pay money to, you use the solution, your number gets blocked, but we're actually there to help you through that process. And then we guide you. We talk to you and be like, hey, this is the reason potentially. Here's how you could have written that better. So we do offer more value, help, guidance, even though as a tool on its own, it is a software as a service tool. Little things that we do help to show people hey, this is how we set ourselves apart.
One interesting thing that I found when talking to Kimberly and Azlan is that they don't use any extraordinary marketing tools or platforms. They just use the same marketing tools that you and I use and have access to. At the end of the day, tools are just tools. What really matters is the fundamentals in marketing and business. But there was one golden nugget that Kimberly shared, which is offline marketing sources are underrated.
In terms of marketing platforms, we could break it up into two sections, right? We've got online, we've got offline. In terms of online, it's pretty standard. You've got your Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. You may at some point consider doing search, SEO, SEM stuff. In terms of offline, we do Underdog Con. To be really frank with you, Underdog has been really great for us because there is a very specific target audience, and that makes a real big difference. When you go to a conference and it's just anybody and everyone, it's too generic. Everybody has something different that they need, but they're not really specifically in the mindset. And so we try to go to these on-ground events where it makes most sense for us and where there is a specific group of audience or people that we know we can serve and that we know we have use cases for. And that's how we do our marketing at the moment.
In the world of having access to technology and AI, being small isn't necessarily bad. In fact, it could be good. And one of the good things is that profit per employee is also higher. So how does Kimberly and Azlan do it? Well, using technology and automation.
So we are a very lean team. This is also by design because I don't think we want to be the kind of company that over commits and overhires and then has to like lay people off. But on the other side, it's also building up processes to make it easier for people to find out the answers that they need. Because occasionally the questions that people have can be repetitive. How do we help them answer those questions quicker or more easily without having to always say reach out to us? And so that's something we're building now, like a proper knowledge base. In terms of whether we would want to have like a massive team at this point, I don't think that's the goal. To be honest, the way technology is actually developing, you can do a lot with less. Everybody hates going back to the office. And I think businesses need to be aware of that, like employers need to be aware of that people don't like anymore dedicating 2 hours of their lives to just being stuck on the road. And so when they build businesses or when they want to hire, I think it's important that they hire people who can do more in the space that they've created, like an environment that they like. So I don't think a bloated or too big an organization makes sense.
Customer lifetime value, revenue, profitability, those are very important metrics for any business out there. But one really important thing is also to have one metric that everyone in the team aims towards. So how does Otomate Me measure success, and what is the number one metric in the company?
In terms of business metrics, as Kim shared, one of the things we track is how actively customers use us. But what that translates to is customer lifetime value. The longer they stay with us, the more that we are able to help them, the more that we also benefit from that relationship. Whenever a customer does leave us, it's not the end. Once that happens, then we want to be there to make sure that, hey, we worked with you before. We'd love the opportunity to work with you again. They leave their company, they go to a different company, and they'll bring us along. Like we recently just got a recommendation last week from someone we served almost a year ago. The problem that they had that they hired us for, that's not a problem anymore. What happens, right? We did our job, we solved the problem. So he recommended someone else now facing that problem to us as well. In our internal sort of metrics, we would consider that as part of the success of that initial customer as well.
The longest time a customer has been with you?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Wow.
Currently.
Now, one of the best ways to jumpstart or to have a shortcut in your marketing, in your business, is to learn from the mistakes of other entrepreneurs and other marketers. So I had to ask, what is one thing Kimberly and Azlan would do differently if they can go back in time?
I would be more courageous. More just like, screw it, just try, don't think too much. If I wrote an email in a certain way, would it come off the way I want it to come off, or could it be read differently? This person maybe has a stronger personality than I do. How do I manage that? I think when you have emotion in it and like you have different people that you're working with, sometimes it can be a bit like scary. I would be more courageous and just be like, this is what it is. This is the fact. You know, it doesn't have to fit your need. If it doesn't fit your need, that's fine. Not everybody is your customer anyway, and being okay with that. Being a bit more cautious helped us to also thread very carefully when we're talking to prospects, or act in a way that we would not want, right? Where you say something or you react one way and you realize later on, I could have done that differently if I had just been more calm, or if I had taken a different approach. What would have helped us more is if we did not think too much, in that way.
Now, one of my favorite takeaways from this interview is that as an entrepreneur, someone who is building a business, you get to decide how you want your business to be designed. There's going to be many people who's going to tell you that, hey, you got to scale up your business, you got to do it a certain way. But at the end of the day, it's your business, it's your life. You got to design the business around your life the way you want it. So here's advice that Kimberly and Azlan would give to you if you're an aspiring entrepreneur.
And money can be so harmful if you think that you can solve a lot of problems with money, because it can't. I would say, like, if it takes breaking your back for a few years and like struggling like hell, that's probably going to teach you more, from my opinion. Consider where you're taking money from and what those terms are if you need it, and really hustle. Like, hustle hard, hustle respectfully.
You want to be someone who is serving 10 customers, each paying you like 1,000, 2,000 ringgit a month, and you're okay with that, then be okay with that. Don't let people tell you that you're too small. But if you want to be someone who wants to have millions of customers, then that's okay too, right? But be clear with what you want. Be clear with what running a business means for you. I think the questions that we always got were, so how are you going to scale this out to 10,000 customers? But no one really even asked, do you want 10,000 customers? They all assume that your trajectory is going to be the trajectory that we want to see in companies. But that also doesn't mean that you can't change your mind later on, right? Once you get to that point and you realize, oh, I do want something more, that's okay.
Go for it.
But don't let anyone tell you
How you should live your life.
how you should live your life. Exactly.
That's very important.
And finally, here's how to look for Otomate Me.
So people can find out about us from our website. That's www.automatememe.com, and Automate Me on Instagram or on Facebook. And, really you can come by Sunway Geo and just, if you wanted to chat with us, you could. Currently, we're in Block B, level 712A. So if you ever, were keen on finding out more about us and you were in the area, just come by. Just give us a call. Yeah. Our number is 0112-3737-831.
So I hope you enjoyed the interview and got a few good lessons out of it. Now we've arranged a deal together with Otomate Me to give you free credits, extra credits when you sign up for Otowa, their WhatsApp automation platform. Details to that deal all in the descriptions down below, so go and check it out. And what I really hope you do is to go to dailycmo.net and subscribe to our free daily marketing newsletter to receive a lesson every day that will make your business and life better.